Have you ever wondered why, despite having everything you thought you needed, wealth, success, and status, something still feels missing? It's a question many of us avoid asking, but deep down, we know the answer. In today's video, we're diving into a powerful story from a retired 65-year-old man who, after spending his whole life chasing money, found himself crying with regret. Despite achieving financial stability, he realized that money alone could never fill the void he felt. You might think you have all the time in the world to make meaningful changes, but the truth is that the most valuable things in life can be lost without even realizing it. Health, relationships, and peace of mind. In this video, I'll share 7 life-changing lessons that could transform the way you live the rest of your life. These insights aren't about how to get more money, but how to make your remaining years truly count. So why should you watch until the end? Because these lessons will show you how to avoid the mistakes that many people regret in their later years. From losing your health to neglecting the people who matter most, these are the things that truly shape your life. Stay with me, and you'll learn how to embrace these insights now, before it's too late. Let's get started. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. 1. Health. Let's reflect on the first and, perhaps, most essential lesson: health. Health is the quiet foundation beneath every ambition, dream, and desire we hold dear. No amount of money, no accolade, and no success can truly compensate for the vitality and well-being we often take for granted in our youth. This reality hit one elderly man particularly hard, who, with hands trembling, picked up his medication, a somber reminder that he could no longer live even a single day without it. In his younger years, health seemed invincible. He skipped medical checkups, brushed off minor aches with painkillers, and lived as though his energy was boundless. He relied on quick fixes, like energy drinks, to get through long hours at work, often sacrificing balanced meals and regular sleep. His lunches were rushed, his dinners late, and weekends became the only time for rest, worn out from relentless demands. He seldom thought about exercise, convinced he didn't have the time, and slowly, day by day, these choices began chipping away at his body, a high price for a life focused on career and wealth. With age, the painful truth reveals itself. Health, once lost, becomes an invisible chain. It restricts us, not only in body but also in spirit, limiting the freedom to live life fully. A fortune amassed over a lifetime can feel utterly meaningless if our physical strength no longer supports us. An elderly gentleman shared a story of bittersweet regret, a dream deferred by a body that simply couldn't keep up. For decades, he and his wife had planned to visit Jeju Island, a destination that symbolized the celebration of their years of hard work. They had pictured strolling hand in hand along the island's beaches, surrounded by its famous beauty. But just when this dream was within reach, arthritis struck his knees, eventually landing him in the hospital. The long-awaited trip never happened. And as he recounted this, his sigh spoke volumes about the depth of his sorrow and regret over putting his health last. Another elderly individual, equally candid, opened up about his youth spent tirelessly working 2 jobs, one during the day at a company, and the other driving a taxi at night. Money was tight, and he felt that every extra hour worked was necessary to secure his family's future. But this dedication came with a cost. Sleep became a rare luxury, and fatigue piled up to a point where his body seemed to run on fumes. Fast forward to his current life, and yes, he has savings that provide comfort, but his body has been irreversibly affected. Today, he lives with diabetes, hypertension, and high cholesterol, and his day starts with a regimen of medications, an unwelcome but essential part of his routine. Reflecting on his past decisions, he admits that, in seeking financial security, he underestimated the true worth of health, only to realize too late that every paycheck he earned was a trade-off with his body's resilience. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. We often think of wealth as the key to freedom, yet true wealth isn't defined by bank balances alone. Real wealth lies in the strength and health we carry into each new day, the ability to engage with life without restrictions. The wise seniors I've encountered all echo a single invaluable piece of advice. While building your financial future, never neglect your health. Losing it is like watching the very foundation of your dreams slip away, leaving you with an existence limited by what your body can and cannot endure. Even the simplest habits, the seemingly minor choices we make each day, can turn into powerful safeguards for our well-being in the years to come. Those who maintain health well into retirement often share a common set of habits. They make time for lunch, no matter how busy they are. They rest on weekends, not just to catch up on sleep, but to rejuvenate their minds and bodies. They carve out moments for movement, like hiking or a peaceful walk in the park, activities that soothe both body and soul. Even on their busiest days, they find ways to manage stress, believing that each small step taken toward well-being adds up to a future where they can still enjoy their freedom. In essence, the lesson is clear, yet profound. Cherish your health, not as an afterthought, but as the foundation upon which every dream rests. We often don't realize it in our younger years, but a healthy body allows us the strength to pursue happiness, explore the world, and savor the fruits of our labor. Without it, every accomplishment, every dream, can feel hollow. Taking care of our health isn't just about prolonging life. It's about ensuring that life remains vibrant, rich, and deeply fulfilling. Health, after all, is the truest form of wealth, one that can preserve our freedom, uplift our spirit, and grant us the luxury of living our golden years in peace, joy, and the satisfaction of knowing we gave ourselves the gift of well-being. 2. Spending time with family. One of life's most precious lessons is the importance of spending real, meaningful time with family. For the longest time, I believed that success and happiness lay in financial security. I chased career goals with relentless ambition, convinced that by securing a strong bank account, I was building a good life for my family. I worked long hours, often bringing my work home, even when it meant missing out on family dinners, weekends, and celebrations. I thought I was doing the right thing by prioritizing work to provide for them, but in my heart, I knew I was missing out on moments that mattered far more than any paycheck could ever represent. Now, years have gone by, and my children have grown into adults with lives of their own. They come by to visit, but those visits are few and far between, sometimes only during the holidays or special occasions. Our conversations are polite, our smiles warm, but there's an undeniable distance. The closeness, the easy laughter, and the simple joy we once shared have faded. I never realized how much time I had lost with them until it was too late. One quiet evening, I found myself flipping through a family photo album that had been sitting on a shelf, gathering dust. As I looked at each photo, snapshots of my kids blowing out birthday candles, family trips I'd missed, holidays spent without me, I felt a pang of emptiness that no amount of money could ever fill. The irony struck me hard. My bank account was full, but my life felt painfully empty. I'd spent countless hours earning, sacrificing the irreplaceable moments with my loved ones. There was a photo of my wife on one of her birthdays, sitting alone at the table with a small cake, smiling at the camera, trying to make the best of a day I should have been there to celebrate. I'd missed countless birthdays, anniversaries, and family trips, always finding an excuse or telling myself there would be more time later. I didn't realize that the moments I was letting slip by were finite, and once they were gone, they would never return. Time with family is like sand slipping through an hourglass. Every grain that falls is a moment we can never get back, a memory that either becomes part of our lives or is lost forever. I recall a conversation with an elderly woman I met at a nursing home during a visit. Her words still echo in my mind. Physical pain is temporary, but the loneliness of not having family nearby lasts a lifetime. She spoke of a hollow ache that came from missing her children and grandchildren, a longing for connection that no medication could ease. I remember the sorrow in her eyes, the weight of regret in her voice. She told me that all the possessions she had once valued meant nothing compared to the simple joy of being surrounded by loved ones. Her words stirred something deep within me. I realized that I, too, was slowly becoming like her, collecting memories of work rather than the priceless moments of my family's lives. I had focused so much on building financial security, believing it would bring us happiness, but in the process, I had neglected the most valuable gift I could have given them. My presence, my time, my love. If I could turn back time, I would do things differently. I would choose to be there for those birthdays, those family dinners, those little everyday moments that make life rich and meaningful. I would make time to listen to my children's stories, to laugh with my wife, and to be there for all the ordinary moments that, in hindsight, are what make life extraordinary. I would take time off work to go on those family trips, to make memories instead of just money. I would be there not just in body but in spirit, fully present, giving my family the attention they deserved. Now I understand that while money can buy many things, it can never buy back time or rebuild connections lost to neglect. In the end, it's the moments we spend with family that make a life truly rich. It's the shared memories, the laughter, the little moments of togetherness that we will carry with us, long after any job or paycheck has lost its meaning. I've learned the hard way that real wealth isn't measured by numbers in a bank account, but by the love, connection, and memories we build with those we cherish most. I can only hope to remind others that the time they spend with their loved ones is an investment far more valuable than anything money can buy. In the final count, our lives are woven from the moments we shared with family, moments that give our lives depth, warmth, and meaning. 3. True relationships. One of the harshest lessons in life is learning the true nature of our relationships. There was a time when my wallet was packed with business cards, each one representing someone I thought of as an ally, a friend, or perhaps even a confidant. I once carried this wallet around like a badge of honor, a testament to my success and my network. Hundreds of people filled my contacts list, and I believed I could reach out to any of them at a moment's notice. I felt connected, like a vital part of a thriving community. But life has a way of shattering illusions, of showing us reality in ways we never anticipated. The real awakening came when I found myself in poor health. I had to face days, even weeks, confined to a hospital room, vulnerable and alone, and I waited for those calls, those visits that never came. Out of the hundreds of people I once knew, only a handful reached out to check on me. The silence was deafening. People whom I'd celebrated with, people who had filled my calendar and my social life, suddenly felt so distant, as if they had vanished the moment I no longer had anything to give. I felt invisible, almost like my time, energy, and friendship had meant nothing at all. It's a heartbreaking, gut-wrenching realization that all those once close relationships may have only existed because of what I could provide, not for who I truly am. A senior once shared his story with me, his eyes filled with a profound sadness that only comes from a life well lived but often misunderstood. He told me how, in his career, he had always been surrounded by people who eagerly called him brother, friend, and family. They made him feel like he was cherished and valued. He had been at the center of it all, a respected professional with an abundance of friends. Or so he thought. He recalled how people constantly approached him, flattering him and seeking his guidance, and he genuinely believed they were loyal friends. But life has a way of testing those beliefs, and his test came with retirement and the sudden, unexpected decline of his health. As he lay in a hospital bed, physically weak and mentally exhausted, he found himself wondering who would show up, who would care enough to be by his side when he needed support the most. Out of all the people who had once filled his life, only 2 came to visit. Just 2 out of the countless faces who had laughed at his jokes, toasted his successes, and leaned on him in their times of need. That moment, he told me, was one of the loneliest, most agonizing experiences of his life. To realize that so many people had valued him not for who he was, but for what he represented, for his status and his wealth, it shattered his heart. And I could feel the weight of that pain as he shared his story with me. That hollow feeling, The emptiness that comes from discovering that many of the relationships you held dear were nothing more than transactions haunts you. It's like a void in your heart that grows the more you reflect on it. I think about it often, how quickly those friendships faded when my circumstances changed. It's a pain that feels so personal, a betrayal almost as if these people had taken something precious from me and left without a backward glance. This is not just an ordinary disappointment. It's a profound sense of grief. Grief for the time, the emotional investment, and the trust we give to people who may never truly see us, who may never genuinely care about us beyond what we can do for them. True relationships, I have come to understand, aren't about numbers or how full your social calendar looks. They're about the few who are there when life strips you down to your bare essence, when you have nothing left to give except yourself. True friends are the ones who stand by you, not because of your position, your wealth, or your achievements, but because they genuinely care about you, the real you. They don't need a reason to stay. They simply do. And while these real, authentic relationships are rare, they are worth more than all the hollow connections in the world. So now, my wallet is empty. There are no more business cards, no contacts who only know me in passing, and I carry it as a reminder of what truly matters. An empty wallet, yet a full heart, one that understands the value of those precious few who have stood by me when the noise died down and I was left with nothing but my vulnerabilities. In this journey of life, it's the rarest relationships that bring the most profound comfort, the ones that heal us, lift us, and remind us that we are never truly alone. And that, I've learned, is the truest form of wealth. 4. Time. The fourth and perhaps most profound lesson in life's journey is the realization of time. When we're young, time feels infinite. The days seem to stretch endlessly, and every year feels like a vast expanse with countless chances to do everything we dream of. We think we have all the time in the world, that there will always be next time or later. But as we age, a subtle bittersweet truth begins to dawn on us. Time is not endless, and every hour, every day, slips through our fingers faster than the one before, like sand in an hourglass that we can't turn back. One elderly man, now facing the twilight of his life, recently pulled out an old notebook. He hadn't looked at it in years. In its pages, written in the eager scrawl of his younger self, was a list of dreams he had carefully saved for his retirement, a list of things he thought he would one day have time for. Dreams of traveling to far-off lands, picking up the guitar, painting landscapes, and reconnecting with old friends. But as he reads through that list now, his heart aches with a heavy sadness. The vitality and health that he once took for granted have faded, and his once sharp mind feels dulled by the years. The energy that would have fueled those adventures is now but a memory. He realizes, with a lump in his throat, that these dreams will likely remain just words on a page. The opportunities he thought he'd always have are now out of reach. Regret seeps in, and he wonders, why didn't I start sooner? Another man reflects on a cherished tradition he once shared with his father. When he was younger, he and his father would set off every weekend to climb the nearby mountains together. Those mornings were filled with laughter, challenges, and moments of awe as they reached each summit together. He had felt alive and deeply connected to his father in those quiet moments among the peaks. But life, as it often does, got busier. There were demands of work, responsibilities, and other distractions that made him think, there will always be more weekends. We'll go next time. And next time kept being pushed back until years had passed without a single climb. Now he stands at the base of those very mountains, his father too frail and too weak to join him. He finds himself gazing up at the peaks, their familiar paths calling him, and he's struck with a deep pang of sorrow. He's here alone, left with only memories of what once was and what could have been. Tears press at his eyes as he thinks of the climbs they'll never take together again, of all the conversations left unspoken on trails they'll never walk again. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. In that moment, he understands that time, so precious and so finite, had slipped past him while he was waiting for later. That elusive later never came. And the chances that once seemed endless, the weekends that seemed boundless, have run out. Now he carries with him not just the weight of missed opportunities, but a profound understanding that time will not wait. It won't pause for us to catch up, nor will it give us back what we've lost. It moves forward, unrelenting, and it's up to us to seize the moments we have now before they become memories filled with regret. This lesson in time, hard and heart-wrenching, reminds us to hold close to those we love, to chase our dreams while we have the strength, and to live each moment fully, because once time passes, it never returns. 5. Financial independence. Financial independence in retirement is not merely about covering expenses. It is a profound affirmation of dignity, self-respect, and the freedom to live on one's terms. It's about much more than a bank account balance. It's about the power to shape one's own life without the painful burden of dependency. The ability to stand on one's own, even in the face of life's inevitable hardships, is a deeply personal victory. Imagine having saved diligently over a lifetime, only to find those funds dwindling at the hands of unforeseen medical expenses or rising costs. One senior shared with great sorrow, "I thought I'd prepared enough to live comfortably, but I never realized how quickly it could all disappear on hospital bills." These are not just words. They carry a weight that speaks to the helplessness many feel when their carefully laid plans start to unravel. For some retirees, financial setbacks are more than a loss of money. They feel like a stripping away of dignity. Another senior spoke of the unbearable humiliation he felt in turning to his children for financial help. "Every time I asked," he confessed, "I felt less like myself, less like the parent I had been, and more like a burden." This moment, filled with such vulnerability, is one no parent ever anticipates or wants to endure. The pride of a lifetime, the pride that comes from hard work, from providing for others, from leading a family, can feel compromised when financial independence slips through one's fingers. Financial independence, then, is not merely a practical necessity. It is a psychological anchor, a foundation upon which one's self-respect and sense of self-worth are built. Without it, even the most loving and supportive relationships can feel imbalanced or strained. It can introduce a sense of unspoken obligation into the relationships between parents and their adult children. The simple act of asking for financial help, while seemingly small, can feel like an invisible wall slowly forming between loved ones. "I never wanted my children to see me like that," said one retired mother, struggling to keep her voice steady. "I wanted them to remember me as the strong one, the one who could handle things." This desire to retain one's role as a provider, even in old age, is an embodiment of the dignity that financial independence preserves. Moreover, financial independence grants the freedom to make choices. Choices about where to live, how to spend time, and what kind of care to receive. Without it, one may be forced to settle for limited options, further diminishing the sense of autonomy and self-worth. Picture a retiree who has dreamed of spending their days in a peaceful private space but instead finds themselves living in a cramped room in a shared home simply because it's the only affordable option. This is the harsh reality that financial insecurity can impose. Financial independence, then, is the key to unlocking not just comfort but true freedom in one's final chapters. Financial independence in retirement is, at its heart, about preserving the ability to live with dignity and make choices that reflect the values and preferences shaped over a lifetime. It's a means of honoring oneself and one's journey, of holding on to the sense of pride and self-respect that defines who we are. For many, it is a vital part of aging gracefully, facing the future with courage and confidence, and protecting the legacy of a life lived on their terms. It's a statement, a powerful declaration. I am still in control, I am still capable, and I am still the person I have always been. In a world that often devalues age, financial independence becomes how one can assert enduring strength, resilience, and self-worth. 6. Unfulfilled dreams. Unfulfilled dreams. Just hearing those words evokes a deep ache in the heart, doesn't it? The sixth lesson is a profound, often bittersweet reminder of the dreams many of us hold close to but never find the courage or permission to pursue. We all have passions buried within us, desires that light a fire in our hearts and inspire us to imagine a different kind of life. And yet, far too often, we push these dreams aside. We think they're foolish and impractical, or fear what others will say. I remember meeting a senior at a local community center who shared a story that has stayed with me, one that still brings a lump to my throat every time I think of it. This man, now in his 70s, told me about a dream he had carried quietly in his heart for as long as he could remember. He had always wanted to be an artist, to paint scenes that lived only in his mind, to let colors dance across a canvas, to create something uniquely his. As a young man, he would often catch himself daydreaming, imagining the smell of oil paints, the feel of a brush in his hand, and the quiet joy of watching his thoughts and emotions take form as a painting. But whenever he mentioned this desire to friends, they laughed. They mocked him, dismissing his dreams as childish and unrealistic. He wasn't supposed to be an artist. Art was for dreamers, not for someone who was expected to be practical and serious. Their voices grew louder, and soon, he couldn't hear his own. The dream began to feel embarrassing, something he learned to hide and, eventually, to silence. He chose a different path, setting his artistic aspirations aside, convinced that he needed to be someone else. Decades passed, life moved forward, and he poured his energy into work and family. The years went by, each one adding a layer to the walls he had built around his dream. Then, one day, purely by chance, he stumbled upon a beginner's painting class offered at the community center. It had been decades since he even allowed himself to think about painting, but something inside him tugged him toward that class. Tentatively, with a mix of excitement and anxiety, he signed up, not sure if he could even remember how to hold a brush, let alone create something worth looking at. On his first day, his hands were trembling as he picked up the brush, feeling its weight, and smelling the familiar, comforting scent of paint. There was a fear there too. The fear of failing, of discovering he had no talent after all, that he was foolish for even trying. But then, he took a deep breath and dipped his brush into the paint. As he began to paint, something inside him awoke, as if a long-lost part of his soul was finally allowed to breathe again. What happened next changed his life. His instructor noticed him, walked over and was visibly impressed. She praised his natural talent, telling him how rare it was to see such raw ability in a beginner. It was as if her words had unlocked a door he thought had been shut forever. He was flooded with emotions: pride, joy, relief, and an overwhelming sadness. At that moment, he realized he had wasted 50 years of his life, 50 years suppressing something so essential to his spirit, all because he had allowed the voices of others to dictate his choices. The regret in his eyes was palpable as he shared his story. He kept asking himself, what if? What if I had ignored those voices and followed my heart instead? What would my life look like now? And yet, his story is both a reminder of the fragility of dreams and a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Despite the lost time, he was finally embracing his true self. But he couldn't help but wonder how much fuller, how much more vibrant his life could have been had he started painting sooner, had he believed in his worth over the opinions of others. Imagine carrying the weight of a dream left unfulfilled for half a century. Imagine living with the knowledge that you let something precious slip away, only to realize later that it was always within reach if only you had dared to reach for it. This story isn't just a story. It's the story of so many of us who tuck our dreams away, thinking there will be time to get back to them someday, or believing that they simply don't matter enough to pursue. His story has changed me, reminding me of how vital it is to listen to those quiet, persistent dreams, no matter how impractical or unlikely they may seem to others. Life is too fleeting to leave our deepest desires unexpressed, too precious to spend it conforming to the expectations of others at the expense of our hearts. If there's one lesson I took from him, it's this: don't wait. Don't wait until you're 70 to pick up the brush, to follow that passion, to allow yourself the joy of doing what you love. Let his story be a call to action for all of us to cherish and pursue our dreams now, while there's still time. 7. Inner peace. The seventh and final lesson, inner peace, might be the most vital of all. For many seniors, the realization comes too late, after decades spent in the frantic chase for success, money, and status. One elder recalls his younger years as a whirlwind of ambition, constantly striving for the next promotion, the next pay raise, the next accolade. He believed that if he worked just a little harder and reached just a little higher, he would find happiness. But instead of fulfillment, he found himself left with a gnawing emptiness, plagued by insomnia that made his nights feel endless and a depression that weighed heavily on his heart. Those years of striving took a toll, draining him of his joy, his relationships, and ultimately his health. Only in retirement, with nowhere left to climb and nothing left to prove, did he finally see the true cost of this pursuit. He had sacrificed his inner peace, his mental well-being, and the realization hit him like a wave. Another senior shared a similar story, equally moving in its lessons. She had spent most of her life anxiously pushing herself to stay ahead of everyone else, convinced that she had to outperform, outshine, and outlast. The fear of falling behind was always in the background, propelling her forward with a sense of urgency. She focused on winning at all costs, whether that meant sacrificing time with loved ones or compromising her own needs. But as the years passed, she began to feel an emptiness that no achievement could fill. She found herself looking in the mirror, now with gray hair and a face lined with years of stress and worry, and she felt a deep sadness. All that striving, all that energy poured into the chase, had left her with little to hold on to. In moments of quiet, she felt alone, and an aching regret surfaced, a realization that she had spent her life running toward the wrong goals. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. The stories of these seniors carry an incredibly powerful truth. Inner peace, they realized, is not something that can be achieved through wealth or status. It's an invaluable state of mind that we must nurture intentionally throughout our lives. It's the quiet that allows us to breathe deeply, the space that lets us be truly present, and the calm that helps us find contentment in what we already have. Without it, even the grandest accomplishments feel hollow and meaningless. These elders would tell us that no achievement, no title, and no bank balance is worth sacrificing your mental peace. Those who reach the end of life with true peace of mind are often those who have lived most richly, not in wealth, but in the quiet confidence that they valued what truly mattered. This lesson, learned through years of struggle and, for some, deep regret, serves as a poignant reminder for all of us. Guard your inner peace with everything you have. Spend time with people who bring you joy. Pursue passions that fill you with purpose, and make space for stillness. Inner peace is not a prize that comes after years of accomplishment. It's a daily practice of gratitude, compassion, and self-care. And it's a gift that, once truly embraced, makes every day richer and more meaningful. These seniors remind us to prioritize inner peace now, not to wait until it's almost out of reach, but to cherish and cultivate it each day, so that we may look back on our lives with true satisfaction and an open, peaceful heart. As we wrap up this journey through the 7 powerful lessons of inner peace and fulfillment, I hope these stories have inspired you to reflect on what truly matters in life. Each of us is on our path, but we all seek the same sense of peace and purpose. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What lesson resonated with you the most? What's one thing you've learned from these insights that you're inspired to bring into your own life? Share your thoughts and intentions in the comments below. It's always wonderful to learn from each other's experiences and reflections. If you enjoyed this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more thought-provoking content. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Let's continue to grow and find peace together.